Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about how do you screen your potential guest? What do you do? All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it because your guest can come from a variety of places, right? The two most common places that would be Furnish Finder and Airbnb, or you might get a contract directly from a company, right? A staffing agency or a hospital or a corporation might give you a contract if you've gone that route, right? Well, there are different ways that people screen their potential tenants, and I'm going to give you a few ways, okay? All right, so first, you can go ahead and run a background check and credit check. Take a look at that information. And if everything comes back okay, then you proceed with creating a lease or a agreement. Okay. So that's one way. Another way is if you're dealing with travel medical professionals, they have to have a background check anyway to work for their staffing company.
Can you at least tell me who he is?
Well, I can tell you who he was.
It's not necessary that you have to get a background check, but for your peace of mind, you want just that credit check as well, just to make sure they're paying for, they pay their bills and so that they will pay you. So that is an option. You can still do that if you want to. Or if you're more comfortable, you could just ask for a copy of their contract so you can verify their employment that way and how much they're getting paid. You can also ask for their recruiter's name. So you can give the recruiter a call and make sure that they are actually employed and everything is okay. So you could go that route as well. Now, there are some companies that pay you directly for their employees to stay in your property. So in those cases, it'll be a totally different route that you will go because now you're dealing directly with that employer, not the employee as far as paying the rent or getting the rent paid, right? So you can go whatever route you want to go. These companies are reputable, right? So I wouldn't do as extensive of a background check or credit check or anything like that when it comes to especially the medical traveling professionals, because again, they've already had to go through a background check. So if their company is paying for their housing and I work with the company directly, then I don't really have to do much screening, right? I'm going to get my money. I'll just call maybe and talk to the housing specialist or the recruiter and just make sure they have everything they need from me so that they can directly deposit the monthly rent into my account. So that's another route. Now, some people go with a agreement versus a lease. I use a month to month lease because I like to basically have something that's legal. And of course, the agreement will be legal because it's in writing as well, but I want something more standard. The month to month lease allows me to extend the lease easily without having to do additional paperwork. And also, if I need to get someone out of the property, it allows me to do that sooner versus later, right? So if I see a person isn't or hasn't paid anything within a certain time period, I can start taking action after so many days, right? Or um, so much of a time frame. I can start taking action to start giving them warnings and things like that, and actually take them to court eventually if I have to do that. Now, I have never had to do that, so don't get scared. I've never had to do that, knock on wood, but I'm just saying that's the route I go. But some people do agreements, and in those agreements, they have a start and end date. Now, you can have a lease with a start and end date as well. You could do that if you choose to do that. So these are all things that are up to you and what you feel comfortable with. But the agreement is just basically laying out that they are staying in the property for a certain amount of time. They abide by whatever rules, and that the owner is not going to be liable for, or the person who's provided, let's just say the host, is not going to be liable for anything that happens to the guest if it's reckless or anything like that, right? So it usually has that type of language in the agreement. So that is a route you could take if you choose to do that. Now, some people say if you give them a lease, they have tenant rights. And that's true. They do, but At the same time, they pretty much are a tenant because they're staying for 30 days or longer. My people usually stay for 3 months. That is a normal month to month lease when you think about it as a long term rental. In that standpoint, from that standpoint, it's a month to month lease. That standard, it's been around forever. It's knowledgeable. Everybody knows about that. So, it's nothing new, basically. That's all I'm saying. So I just choose just to go that route. But again, you could go whatever route you want to go, as long as you have some type of legal document that has been signed by the both of you in place. That is what's the most important. You can't just let people just come into your property. Now, some people come through other channels like Airbnb or VRBO, where that booking channel is responsible for handling the verification of that guest and making sure that certain rules are followed. And you could go through those booking channels if you have any issues. Now, even with those booking platforms, people still tend to get agreements signed just so there aren't any problems and they can have something that's a legal document between them and their guests if anything was to go wrong. So, in many cases, people still do agreements. Some cases they don't. Okay. So, again, these are things that are up to you. This business is not just one way of doing this business. Now, we can all of us who teach about midterm rentals, we can give you guidance. We can give you our strategies. We can tell you what has worked for us. But these are not the only ways that you can do things. We definitely can get you started on the right path and get you up and going. But as you grow with your business and you decide to make certain decisions that are best for you and your property, you do that. It's not a problem, right? So, those are some tips as far as screening, how to screen your guests. So let me recap that for you. So as far as screening your guests, you can do a background check or credit check, or you can call their employer and verify the information. You can ask them for their contract and verify their information that way as well. So you can do any or all those things, or a combination of those things, or you can do a little bit more if you want to. Some people may do a little bit more, right? Okay, so as far as the lease or legal document is concerned, you can get a lease. And again, I use a month to month lease. Some people choose to use a lease with set term dates on it. And some people choose to use a agreement that they have created. You can use any of those things as long as you have a legal document, something in writing that has been signed, so that you can take this person or take legal action towards this person if anything was to happen. I hope that helped you guys today as far as ways that you can verify your guests and make sure you have the right people in your property. Now, if you need some resources around midterm rentals, look in the description below. I tend to post free resources down there to help you guys out. Okay, so make sure you check out the description. Also, my online course is down there as well. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.